man? Hey, come on in, man. Come on in.
Hello and welcome. I'm Vitaly Somunikin, and today I have the unique opportunity to sit down with my good friend and local chef, Brandin Scott. He's a 28-year-old graduate from Valdosta State, and I've known him for about 2 years, and we've met at Johnny's New York Style Pizza, where he was a chef and I was a server there. He grew up here in Conyers, Georgia, not too far away from Atlanta. He started working at restaurants when he went off to college at 18, so that makes 9 years of working in the industry at over 15 different restaurants. Mm-hmm. So Brandin, tell me a little bit about your history of food.
Okay. My history with the food industry. It started off when I was younger, learning, in home. Obviously, a lot of cooks learn from watching their parents and, starting to get involved with it. My sister was actually the big culinary person in our house, which sparked the interest, with me. And when she passed away, my parents did a culinary scholarship for her. And then that got me into looking, what is this culinary world? Following that, I obviously headed to college myself. And then it just happened to be one of those transitions where, I was already interested in food, from learning stuff from my mom in the kitchen and my sister's interests. And then I just naturally drifted towards a cooking job in college.
Oh, that's really interesting, Brandon. Yeah, that's part of the reason why I chose you to do this project. I knew that you had a lot of experience with different types of food and working at different types of restaurants, and I know that you can cook a lot of different foods.
Exactly.
And so I knew you would have an interesting story of food. So what do we have planned for today?
We're going to keep it simple. We're going to go with chicken fettuccine alfredo, which, a lot of people don't know how simple it is to make. We're going to delve into that.
So Brandon, is getting groceries and picking out ingredients as important as the actual cooking?
Yeah, absolutely. Cooking obviously is very important because the technique you do it in is going to make or break the dish. But preparation is key within getting the right ingredients and knowing what you get creates a healthier dish and obviously a better tasting dish. So it's good to know your product and know your options and be informed about what you're buying. So that's definitely key. That's definitely key.
Is that okay? I can stop it at whatever you want.
So what would you say is your favorite type of food to make or prepare?
I would say Asian cuisine. I'm a big Chinese, Japanese eater. So I haven't really dabbled into it, enough to be, a chef in that field. But I do like how they prepare their meats and the rice, and it all goes well together. So and it's simple. I like the simple but good meals.
Good.
The easiest.
So Brandon, as you're preparing this meal for us, tell me a little bit about what food means to you. When you sit down with your family or you prepare a meal, how does that make you feel, or what emotions does it bring out in you?
It means a lot. When you prepare a meal for someone, it's a sign of, I want you to enjoy something I've created and, put time and thought into. And it's good to see their faces when they like it and when they enjoy it and they take pleasure from it. Food is one of the best mediums, to create happiness, I feel. So it's pretty cool.
It's great, yeah. So Brandon, working at all these different restaurants and learning all these new techniques and how to cook different types of food, did you notice anything about food in general or how food was treated at different restaurants? And what was your perspective on that?
It's a good question. And a lot of the restaurants I've gone to and worked at, one of the key things is food preparation. There's a lot of focus on keeping food safe. There's a lot of focus on the actual term serve safe, which is what you have to go through as a manager, sous chef, executive chef. You have to go through that course. just teach you how to prepare food in a manner to where bacteria doesn't grow and you don't hurt your clientele, customers, family, friends. It's important to make good food, but it's important to make safe and healthy food.
So Brandon, you talked a lot about preparing food safely and with the right temperatures and everything. But what about preparing food that tastes good? How does one acquire the expertise to know when to add, more salt or more spices?
Okay, yeah. A lot of people ask that, and that's more towards the artistry of cooking. We in the business have a term called TT, and what that term means is to taste. So it's really kind of like your own interpretation of what your flavor wants to be like. Really, you got to go off. You got to go off like what your customers or your friends or family, their feedback. It's too salty. If it's this and this, it's always room for, I guess, correction in your recipe. There's no solid. Really, you should just write your recipes in pencil because it's always going to be an adjustment towards the person.
Right.
But really, it's just what you taught, what you learned, what your influences are. Dictates how you add your stuff.
Yeah. You brought up culinary school there. Did you ever think about maybe joining culinary school growing up or being in the industry?
Well, yeah, and I mean, I talked to a lot of people about it before I wanted to embark on it because I went to 4-year college,
right.
Graduated, got that degree, and a lot of them were like, I hate to say this in a college type setting project, but a lot of people say you learn everything you need by practical application, by being in the restaurants and learning what you know. I've worked with tons and tons of culinary students, and they get into these restaurants and they don't know what to do just because they haven't been in that type of environment. They learn the vocabulary and everything, but they don't know how to work in that fast-paced setting and know how to make this that is suitable for the kitchen, or the restaurant type business. So, I mean, really, it's just according to the person. If you want to learn the history, pretty much, of cooking, and the different regions and why everything is the way it is, the culinary school would be good for you. It's definitely a plus because it's not a negative that you go. But in my case,
yeah.
I had already did 9 years, so there was no point.
Right. So from what I'm hearing and what I understand, you're saying that for you that the real world experience matched or even was better than the culinary school.
Exactly, because the teachers are the people you work for, your bosses, your executive chef, your sous chefs, and most of them, a lot of them that I ran into didn't even go to culinary school. It was just a learning thing. You learn as you go. You read up just like any other craft. The more you read, the better you get, and you just get the information that way. So it's just another type of culinary school, real world application, and once you already have that real world application, there's really no need to backtrack and go to culinary school.
Yeah,
so that's
that makes
why
sense.
That
makes sense.
But I wouldn't knock it.
Yeah. Growing up and being in the industry, were there any major influences on your food identity? Any people, maybe some family members, or an executive chef at a restaurant that really influenced you?
Del Frisco's Grill in Buckhead, which I opened up, and my executive chef was Chef Mike. He's a pretty big chef in Atlanta, and he influenced me a lot just because of just his style and then his way, with us in the kitchen. It was constantly like a learning experience, and he would always nurture us into to be potential chefs that would come up in the industry. So it was always a learning experience, and he would always make sure we know why we're doing what we're doing, and not just machines looking at ingredients and throwing them in there. So that was definitely a good thing, and his recipes were innovative, and they were new and had a lot of flavors to them. So I mean, it really opened up a lot to me and made me think, man, this is deep. So, and that made me just get more fired up and want to get into it and make more of a bigger effect in the cooking game. So I would definitely have to say Chef Mike.
So is Chef Mike someone that you looked up to as a chef, or maybe some
yeah.
TV chefs that you look up to as well?
Well, and I mean, I didn't watch, and that's the funny thing. I never watched cooking shows, so that was never one of my influences. I mean, I've heard of the Emeralds and the Bobby Flay and the Rachel Ray.
Right.
So
Yeah.
later on in life, I started watching cooking shows just because, I had already learned the craft. But earlier on, it was just a restaurant. You work in a restaurant, ridiculous amount of hours a week. So you're with them all the time. They're like your family. So Chef Mike, Chef Chris, and then I have Executive Chef Tim at Dan Tennis Tavern in Buckhead also. And they were all amazing. And Chef Micah too. Those are all influential chefs between Del Frisco's and Dan Tennis that very, very much so influenced me because their skill was far-reaching, and their knowledge of their craft was pretty influential. So it was good. It's good.
Brandin, I'm wondering a little bit about future food in you. What relationship do you think will precipitate itself out in the next few years, the next few months?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I cooked. I did my fair share. 9 years is a long time to cook, but now my talents are going to be used elsewhere. I joined the Navy and I leave March 11th. So.
Well, that's very soon.
Yeah. So I'm not cooking in the military, so I won't have any use for it there. But definitely, all the stuff I've learned will help me, in the family sector. Cooking for my family, and when I get out, if I choose to go down that road again and be a chef again, then I can always do that. But the knowledge will always be there.
Right. Do you think that family gathering, sitting at dinner, eating together, is important? Is that important to you?
Oh yeah. We grew up. Dinner time was family time. When it was time to eat dinner, everyone sat together. We got TV going. Stories getting told. Excited about the meal, and I'm a big guy, so I had to get a couple plates. But food is definitely one of those things that brings the family together. It's important, and it brings societies, and it brings it just brings people together, makes people happy. And I'm glad to be a part of the food industry as long as I have been. And
Here we go.
let's go, man.
Yeah.
No pressure. No pressure. Good consistency, good thickness. Very nice. Get a piece of that
Really
chicken.
good. Yeah.
There you go. And it only took about 10, 15 minutes.
Tastes
Quick,
great.
man.
It was quick. Cheap too.
Yeah.
I'm happy. Thank you, Brandin.
inexpensive,
I really
very
appreciate
cheap,
it.
No problem. Appreciate it.
Do you have any final comments about that you want to tell people about yourself, or how do they think about food?
Just it's one of those things that I think everyone should do. Everyone should learn how to cook for whatever reasons, not just for financial, like restaurant industry cooking. We're cooking at home. It's one of those things. It's therapeutic. It's good for you. It's healthy. It's cheaper, and it's just something you should do. And as far as as my cooking, hopefully later on I'll be able to use it again. And for for my kids, and then teach them a little something. But I appreciate you having me. Everything was it was cool to rehash the cooking, the cooking life. But yeah.
Wow! After sitting down with Brandin today, I was able to get such a clear understanding of his food biography and even some of his life. If I were to describe his food biography in one word, I would have to choose broad, because he has so much experience in the food industry, and he's worked at so many different restaurants and done so many different types of cuisines that it all just kind of comes together into one cohesive chef being Brandin. And if I were to go back and ask him some more questions, or questions that I think I wish I would have asked him, would probably include asking about his influences in starting out in the food industry, and then asking him what he likes to cook on a daily basis, what are his go-to meals, and maybe even asking him, why he likes to cook certain meals and why he doesn't like to cook other meals. But other than that, this concludes my interview with Brandin Scott, and I hope you enjoyed. Thank you.